Hey everyone, this is Chris. Welcome to the channel. So I hope you grow your account and grow your mind. So we're talking about Coinbase and crypto and things. And there's all these interesting issues that have been coming up recently, and it's all happening at the same time. It's kind of like a perfect storm. And if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I got started trading in the dot-com bubble and also was trading in the 08-09 crash. Lost some money in both events, so I'm well aware of the dangers of the stock market. And also, too, if you're wondering, I'm a lot older than I look. I'm pushing 50, so it's kind of funny because people was like, "How does this kid know anything?" But no, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I was also a professor for about 10 years. The whole crypto thing, though, does remind me of the 08-09 crash. And so me having lived through it, I'm very, very gun shy on these kind of things. And so, I barely hold any crypto at all. For me, I'm not cool with losing all my money. So I keep my risk down to really less than 1% of my portfolio in crypto. So it's very, very little. Everyone's going to have a different risk tolerance in terms of that. My particular point of view on these things is maybe 5% or less is fine, but everyone, do what you do with your money. Regarding the Coinbase issue, there's a couple things going on. So one thing in the crypto community I think is really important to mention is stable coins are crashing around the world now. Stable coin is essentially supposed to be pegged to the dollar, but the problem is when a stable coin becomes less than dollar, like there's the one tied to Luna. That is certainly a problem. There's another one that was supposed to, there was a stable coin tied to the yen, the Japanese yen that is, and I think it was called G yen, and there's already a lawsuit regarding that because it clearly is not tied to the yen. And one of the other issues, I mean, there's multiple issues going on. I'm just kind of giving you overview, I should say, is I think the biggest shock, and this is sort of why these stories came out and caught my attention, was, I mostly follow the stock market when we found out that Coinbase was actually losing money last quarter. Was a big shock, to be honest. Now, I remember it was, his name is Chanos, as a famous investor. He said he went short Coinbase, I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago, saying that, 4 or 5 months ago or a year ago was the peak of the crypto asset bubble and essentially also the peak of Coinbase's revenues. And it was interesting because the way that Coinbase makes money is essentially transaction fees. And at the time, I understood what he was saying, but I didn't think necessarily people would stop trading entirely. And I think that's sort of what was a scary thing, is when not only has trading really slowed down, right? But they haven't tried to stop trading entirely, and crypto's not going anywhere. But what sort of was concerning, though, is this: it felt like Coinbase might have mismanaged their money because they are like hiring staff and upping their expenses essentially when their revenue is going down. So it was kind of a weird mismanagement situation. And then recently, which we talked about on this channel, Coinbase sort of updated their terms. And let me just read this for you guys. So this is their like, what do you want to call it? Just in the fine print, right? The fine print that a lot of people skim over, but you got to read this stuff. And that's why I make these videos, just so you understand it. So this is coming from Coinbase. This is sort of in their fine print. Moreover, because custodially held crypto assets may be considered to be the property of a bankruptcy estate, in the event of a bankruptcy, the crypto assets we hold in custody on behalf of our customers could be subject to bankruptcy proceedings, and such customers could be treated as our general unsecured creditors. So basically, the basic gist of it is if Coinbase were ever to go bankrupt, you don't own your crypto. They would just liquidate and you lose everything, and because Coinbase has to pay their debts essentially, and that sort of alarmed people. I mean, one was like, bankruptcy? Wait, what are you talking about? To even bring it up, right? I didn't even know that was on the table, and I think you guys understand the thing. And the other issue is like, oh, I don't own my crypto, and I think that also, so two things alarming. One is Coinbase, are they having insolvency problems, and two, I didn't realize I didn't own my crypto. And I think this is something I mentioned before. It was sort of like, this issue came up when I used to play digital card games or video games, and say with World of Warcraft, and often the question would be like, do I have a right to sell my digital assets on eBay, which is something that, to be frank, I have done. And I don't remember what Blizzard's current policy is on that, but I'm just keeping it real with you. Was like, basically the whole gist is who owns this digital asset. So you have these things going on. The other thing too, just to mention, is Now, typically with insurance, I was looking at this here. Um, if your money's like in an established brokerage, we're talking about stocks and bonds and things of this nature for now. You're actually insured for $500,000 for brokerage accounts. So this would be a reason why a person would want to have multiple brokerage accounts or multiple bank accounts, because bank accounts I think might be 250,000, and then brokerage accounts 500,000, et cetera. And it depends how much money you have, how many banks that you'd want to have. But essentially, kind of the concern is, and I'm just keeping it real with you guys. I lived through .com. That's why I mentioned these in the beginning. In 08, 09, companies can and do fail. I had bank stock. It was called Washington Mutual WAMU. And for those of you who watch the channel, you know I always talk about that one. But literally, it went to zero. So so I'm always really leery about financial products, because I've seen this game play out before. Also, too, back in the .com bubble, so the WAMU thing, Washington Mutual was 08, 09. Back in the .com bubble, and I always tell the same story too as well. I had the choice that back then, was I going to buy Expedia IPO, or was I going to buy this fintech thing? And at the time, I just figured, oh, fintech's the future, and then they're always going to make money, et cetera. I don't even remember the name of the stupid company, but as a stupid kid back in 2000, I should have just split my money up, half or whatever, 10%, 10%, or but I put all my money in the fintech one because it seemed like that was a good thing. And as it turned out, the fintech people were all liars, and there was a big lawsuit, et cetera. But basically, it went to zero, and I lost all my money. And obviously, Expedia would have been a better buy. But this is sort of where something that I've been mentioning on the channel a lot is you really want to stick with blue chippers in any kind of recessionary environment or market crash thing, because some things will go to zero. Now, will Coinbase go to zero? That's where everyone's worried about, of course. The stock is recovering, and I guess what I'd be watching for is what's going on with stablecoin. Moreover, which is sort of really concerning, is I was actually looking at Coinbase's Twitter. On their Twitter account, I guess this is just, they tweeted out as I'm recording this 12 hours ago. They've been having stability problems where people are trying to pull out their money and just the website is inaccessible and these kind of things. So you have sort of this going on as well, because obviously when Bitcoin crashes, people head for the exits, and this is regarding the whole Bitcoin situation. I guess the situation at Coinbase is if the level of Bitcoin falls below 21,000, then the majority of users on Coinbase would then be underwater regarding to Bitcoin. So that's right now, Bitcoin's like at 30 as recording of this, but 21,000 is going to be a really important level, because, if say, and this is what I do as well, depending on what asset I'm holding, everyone's different, but, I'll set a stop loss essentially above my average, right? So I ensure that I don't lose. Everyone's gonna have a different, point of view on that, but I prefer not losing. And so a lot of people, if it goes to certain levels, people just have stop loss in effect just to make sure they don't lose money. I personally don't know what's gonna happen with Coinbase, and I'm sure you're watching this video going, Chris, what's gonna happen? I don't know. I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I think there's a couple things going on. Many things. One is, what is the SEC going to do about this? I have a quote from Gary Gensler too, actually, which I think is important. Actually, I'll just read this to you guys. So he's the chairman of the SEC, and he's saying, when you trade on a crypto exchange, and I'm saying this to investors who might watch this, you no longer own your crypto asset. If that exchange gets hacked, if somebody steals the underlying token, you're just a creditor. And when crypto exchanges fail, you're just in line in bankruptcy court. So it's funny because I am mentioning when you do this crypto stuff, you probably want to stick with an established brokerage. I have one when I use, but also pretty fair regarding inactive brokers. I was reading their disclosures, and as it turns out, they don't actually own the crypto. They farm it out to another firm called Paxos, Paxos. And I didn't take the time to read through the Paxos thing, but regardless, is that this is all a gray area right now for many brokerages, even, like I said, even the one I use. Because people say, hey, Chris, what do you suggest? And I'm not necessarily suggesting one. I have what I use. I use Coinbase. In fact, I have Ethereum staked on there, but I barely have any money in that. So I'm not, not really much of a concern for me. But I do understand if people have a lot of money on Coinbase or a lot of money on whatever exchanges, my recommendation, I think, is just safe for anyone is go with any kind of blue chipper read through all the fine print disclosures and whatever brokerage you're in. And I think this is why, this is a big issue essentially, is many of the high net worth individuals, they want the Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, these the big established banks to start having crypto. But I think what's going on is the negotiation between the big money, right, at these, say, Goldman Sachs and the SEC on how we are going to insure these kind of things. Now, you certainly have major players in the game. We'll just talk about this more famous people like a Mark Cuban. Lost a bunch of money on, I can't remember which one it was, but he was calling for insurance and these kind of things, and who knows how much political power he has. But then Elon Musk is involved in crypto as well. I'm just saying famous people, because it's not like there's no money in this stuff, right? So obviously a lot of people have interest in these things. The Saudis have money in this stuff, the Russians, the Chinese, right? So it's not just the Americans, it's all around the world. And even governments like El Salvador, I think it was the government that has interest in Bitcoin. Now, I've mentioned this several times. I would not mess with any of these sort of really, really small tokens that just pop out of nowhere. They're often pump and dump, especially in this environment. But I think you guys already know that. You're smart enough to know that if you're watching this channel. And again, my personal view on this is limit risk. You can certainly make a lot of money on this kind of stuff, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket, especially in this environment. This reminds me of the 0809, financial crisis, essentially, where you just had this crazy asset bubble, and the general notion is and I don't like it when people use the word panic. I just think that's yes, it's true, but I just don't like that word, because I don't think it's crazy to protect your assets. so don't ever let anyone say, oh no, you shouldn't sell. I mean, obviously, if you could have sold whatever stock or currency at the top of the bubble or the top of the thing, that would be the smart thing to do, right? So the problem is sometimes people decide too late, and you get caught like a deer in a headlight. So and then we start talking about when it's already too late. So I can't tell you what to do with your money or your stock or your crypto. I'm just saying, what bothers me is how people sort of, in this environment, ridicule you if you sell your stocks to save your money. So I've mentioned all along, to sell on the way up, and always take profits if you can. But at this stage in the game, if you're really, really into crypto, it seems like wallets are the way to go. Some people are in this like cold wallet kind of thing. There's a hot wallet and cold wallet. Cold wallet's basically an offline, wallet to store crypto, like a thumb drive, basically, essentially. And a hot wallet's something that's always connected to the internet. And I am not a crypto expert, so please, don't ask me. I'm not going to recommend any particular one. Also, too, this also to be fair, whenever you do a video on crypto, Coinbase, et cetera, you may have a bunch of spam bots and things in the comments. So everyone's going to be promoting essentially whatever thing that they're associated with, and always just be careful of this stuff. And this is why this game is risky, because there's no guarantees, unlike, say, a brokerage where they're insured up to 500,000 with crypto. There's no guarantees. And the Coinbase thing was essentially why is everyone all concerned with their fine print that you don't own your crypto, and if they go under, you basically lose everything, is what it sounds like. So certainly they're going to try to update their stuff. I mean, this is a developing story. We'll keep track of this, and kind of what we'll be watching for is what the government and what places like Coinbase are going to be sort of establishing the precedents for what to think about wallets and things of that nature. So hopefully this stuff is helpful for you. Sorry, I don't have all the answers in the world. I can't tell the future, but I'm going to try my best to keep you informed of what's going on. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.